Can I have everyone that's going to testify, please raise your right hands to be sworn? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony that you'll give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Junker, you may proceed.
Your Honor, we are here in the state of Cecilia Collins. I will call my first witness, Jennifer Bragg. Jennifer, could you state your name officially for the record?
Jennifer Bragg.
And how did you know Cecilia Collins?
She is my fiance's grandmother, my kid's great-grandmother.
Okay, so were you aware, were you familiar with her signature?
Yes.
How were you familiar with her signature?
Over the years, she always sent Christmas cards. She would write checks for Christmas gifts to my kids, and I would be the one to cash them.
Okay. Your Honor, if you could put the will on the screen for us. Thank you so much. First, Your Honor, we'd ask the court take judicial notice that the original will is on file with the court.
Good job.
And now, Jenny, Judge, if you could go to the last page on the will. Now, Jenny, does that look like, I'm sorry, that would be the witness's signatures, one page back, Judge. There we go. Okay, you see down there, bottom middle of the page, Jenny. Do you recognize that as Cecilia's signature?
Yes.
Okay, this will, she signed it on October 6th of 2016. As far as you know, she was 18 and of sound mind when she signed this, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and do you have any reason to believe that she died leaving some other will other than this one?
No.
Okay, and you don't have any interest in her estate. You're just doing this to help out, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and you're not being paid for your testimony. You're not a creditor or owed anything.
No.
All right. I'll pass this with Your Honor.
All right, you may call your next witness.
Your Honor, I call Kevin Calden. Kevin, how did you know Cecilia?
Excuse me.
Kenneth Calden.
I'm sorry, Kenneth Calden. Apologies, Kenneth. How did you know Cecilia?
She's my wife's mom.
Okay, now you saw the signature that was shared recently on the screen. Did that look like Cecilia's signature?
It did.
Okay, and as far as you know, she was of sound mind in October of 2016, right?
Correct.
And she was definitely at least 18.
Yes, sir.
You would have known, y'all done other searches. There's no other will out there. This is the will, correct?
Correct.
And you're not being left anything in this will. You don't have any interest in her estate.
No, I do not. Correct.
We're not paying you to be here, are we?
No, not at all.
All right, I'll pass this witness, Your Honor.
Okay, and your next witness?
Your Honor, I will call Lisa Calden. Lisa, what is your relation to Cecilia Collins?
She was my mother.
And did she pass away on November 10th of last year in Sugar Land?
Yes, she did.
At the time of her passing, was she living in Fort Bend County?
Yes, she was.
Recognize that as her last will and testament, right?
Yes, it is.
And you agree that she was of sound mind and at least 18 when she signed that will?
Yes.
Did she ever revoke that will?
No, she did not.
Did she have any children born to her or adopted by her after she signed that will?
No, sir.
Did she dissolve a marriage, meaning did she get divorced or annul a marriage after she signed that will?
No, she did not.
Did she do anything to the state of Texas, any governmental entity or any charity that we need to give further notice to?
No, she did not.
And the will appoints you as the independent executor to serve without bond, correct?
That is correct.
Now, we do have a need for an administration here. There are some assets that are requiring letters testamentary for us to get a hold of them, right?
Correct.
And there's no reason you'd be disqualified from serving, is there?
No, there's not.
Right. Nothing further, Your Honor. We would ask that the will of Cecilia Collins be admitted to probate and letters testamentary issued to Lisa Calden, no bond and appraisers waived.
All right, and we're appointing Ms. Calden as the independent executor, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. All right, well, based on all of your testimony, I will sign the order admitting Ms. Collins' will into probate, and Ms. Calden, you will be appointed as the independent executor without the requirement of a bond. I'm also waiving the necessity for appraisers. You'll get some instructions from the court regarding your role as the independent executor, and I'm sure Mr. Junker will go over those instructions if you have any questions. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you all for your time. Have a wonderful afternoon. You are all excused.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
great
All right. You're welcome. Bye-bye.
I'm guessing we get to go too?
Yes, you're excused. I'm going to kick you out.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Ms. Phillips.
Yes.
And is it Rebude? Can you spell your,
Rebolita.
I'm sorry?
Rebelita.
Rebelita, just like it looks. Okay. I wasn't sure if the double L's made the Y sound, you know, but Rebelita is much easier to pronounce. So I appreciate that. All right, Mr. Rebelita, can you please raise your right hand to be sworn? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony that you'll give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Phillips.
Okay. State your name for the court.
My name is James Rebolita.
Okay. And what was your relationship to the deceased Francisco Eunice Rebelita?
I'm her son.
Okay. And did she die on October 31st, 2022 in Fort Bend County, Texas at the age of 71?
That's correct.
So 4 years have not gone by since her death. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And was she domiciled and had a fixed place of residence in Fort Bend County at the time of her death?
Yes,
Okay. And you have a copy of your mother's will. Is that correct?
that's correct.
And the original has been filed with the court. Is that correct?
Yes,
And at this time, Your Honor, I'd like the court to take judicial notice of the will that's on file with the court.
I shall, thank you.
And so, Mr. Rebelita, that document which is on file with the court dated May 3rd, 2021, which reports to be your mother's last will and testament, was it ever revoked as far as you know?
no, ma'am.
Okay. Does a necessity exist for the administration of your mother's estate?
Yes,
Okay. Were any children born or adopted by your mother after she made this will?
no,
And was she ever divorced?
no,
Okay. And she names you in her will as independent executor. Is that correct?
that's correct.
Are you disqualified by law from accepting letters testamentary or from serving as independent executor?
No,
And did your mother name the state of Texas a government agency or any charitable organization as a devotee in her will?
no,
And you're asking the court then to appoint you independent executor of your mother's estate.
yes,
And then you're also asking that appraisers be waived because it's a non-taxable estate.
yes.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Rebelita, based upon your testimony, I will sign the order admitting your mother's will into probate and appointing you as the independent executor without the requirement of a bond. You'll get some instructions from the court about your role as the independent executor. And if you have any questions, I'm sure Ms. Phillips will go over that with you. Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome, Mr. Revelita and Ms. Phillips. You are both excused.
Oh, thank you so much, Your Honor. Have a good day.
You're welcome. Have a good afternoon. Hello. You're on mute.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. My apologies.
Good afternoon, Mr. Soto. And Ms. Creek, you are also on mute. Can you unmute yourself? Okay, perfect.
You can hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Perfect.
All right, Ms. Creek, can you please raise your right hand to be sworn? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony that you'll give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Soto.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Crick, would you state your full name for the record?
Francisca Marcela Creek.
Okay, and is it true that Francisco Montemayor was your father? Is that right?
Yes.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
And he passed away on October 7th, 2022 in Richmond here in Fort Bend County. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And he was a resident of Fort Bend County when he passed away, correct?
Yes, sir.
And I believe you have seen the last will and testament. I don't know if the judge is going to have that on the screen or not, but you have seen the last will and testament of your father, correct?
Yes,
I can
sir.
put it up on the screen if you'd like.
Thank you, Judge.
No problem.
And this is the document that we reviewed as your father's last will and testament. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And we reviewed his signature. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And you feel that that is his last will and testament. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, if the respectfully ask to take judicial notice that that is the last will and testament of the deceased.
I will. Thank you.
And that is your father's signature right there. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And this document was never revoked. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And to the best of your knowledge, after the date of this will, no children were born to or adopted by him. Is that right?
Correct.
And after the date of the will, there was never any marriage that was dissolved. That is, that there was no divorce, correct?
Correct.
And is it true that the will does not provide for any gifts to the state of Texas or any charitable organization? Is that right?
Correct.
And there is a necessity for the administration of this estate to have you appointed as executor. Is that right?
Correct.
And the will appointed your mother, Transita Montemayor, as executor, and she declined and waived her right. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And then the will next appointed your sister, Martina Montemayor, and she also signed and waived in your favor. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And the will appoints you as a second alternate independent executor to serve without bond. Is that right in the document?
Yes, sir.
And you are qualified to serve as independent executor, and you are not otherwise disqualified, and you are qualified to accept letters testamentary. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, this is a non-taxable estate. There's no necessity for appraisers, and we respectfully ask the court to waive bond.
All right. Ms. Creek, based upon your testimony, I will sign the order admitting your father's will to probate and appointing you as the independent executor without the requirement of a bond. I'm also going to waive the necessity for appraisers. You'll get some instructions from the court regarding your role as the independent executor, And I'm sure that Mr. Soto will go over that with you if he hasn't already, if he can answer your questions. Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Mr. Soto, if there's nothing else, then you are both excused.
Pleasure, Your Honor. Thank you.
No problem. Have a good day.
You too. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
All right. Could I have Mr. and Mr. Kilpatrick please raise your right hands to be sworn? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony that you'll give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Oh, you're both on mute. I read your lips, though. You said I do.
Yes, I do.
Okay. Okay.
I do.
All right. And is Austin your first name or last name? Because what I have written down is Mickey Davis. I don't think that's
Apologies, Your Honor. Mickey Davis is the attorney of record, but I'm his associate, Austin Potts, P-O-T-S.
Thank you, Mr. Potts. Okay, Mr. Potts, you may proceed.
All right, Ronnie, I'll start with you. If you would, go ahead and state your full name for the record.
Ronald Keith Kilpatrick Jr.
All right, and what was your relationship to the decedent, Ronald K. Kilpatrick?
I was his son.
All right, and is it true that your father died on December 28th, 2022 in Houston, Texas at the age of 83?
That is correct.
And is it true that your father was domiciled and had a fixed place of residence in Fort Bend County at the time of his death?
That is correct.
And then have you seen the will that was filed with the court?
I have.
And you're familiar with it?
Yes,
And is it true that that document dated the 19th day of August 2022, and which purports to be your father's will, is in fact his original will?
that is correct.
All right. And is it true that the will was never revoked, so far as you know?
That's right.
All right, Your Honor, this time we'd ask the court to take judicial notice that the purported will of Ronald K. Kilpatrick is in fact his original will.
I will do so. Thank you.
Thank you. And then, Ronnie, is it true that no child or children were born to or adopted by your father after the date of his will?
That's correct.
And is it true that no marriage was dissolved after the date of the will?
Correct.
And is it true that necessity exists for the administration of your father's estate?
Correct.
And is it true that the will names you and your brother as independent co-executors of the will?
Yes,
And is it true that neither of you are disqualified by law from serving as such?
that's correct.
And is it true that your father did not name the state of Texas, a governmental agency of the state of Texas, or any charitable organization as a devisee in his will?
That's right.
Thank you, Ronnie. That is all I have for you.
All right. You may call your next witness, Mr. Potts.
Thank you, Your Honor. Scott, if you would, please state your full name for the record.
William Scott Kilpatrick.
And then what was your relationship to the decedent, Ronald K. Kilpatrick?
He was my father.
And then did you hear all the questions I just asked your brother, Ronnie?
Yes,
If I were to repeat those same questions to you, would you answer them in the same way?
yes.
Is that sufficient, Your Honor, or would you like me to go question by question?
No, that's fine.
Thank you.
I trust you guys.
Thank you, Your Honor. In
All
that
right.
case, at this time, we'd ask that you admit the will of Ronald K. Kilpatrick to probate, appoint Ronald K. Kilpatrick Jr. and William Scott Kilpatrick as independent co-executors to serve without bond and to waive the requirement for appraisers.
All right. So based upon your testimony, I am going to sign the order admitting your father's will into probate and appoint the two of you as the independent co-executors without the requirement of a bond. I'm waiving the necessity for appraisers, and you'll get some instructions from the court regarding your role as the independent executors. And I'm sure that Mr. Potts will go over those and answer any questions that you may have about those instructions. All right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. If there's nothing else, gentlemen, then you are all excused. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you. You too.
You're welcome. All right.